It started with a funeral. But not just any funeral. This was the burial of Evelyn Carter, a 28-year-old journalist who had mysteriously vanished 2 weeks prior. No body was ever recovered, just a few bloodied belongings discovered at the edge of the old train station on the outskirts of town. Everyone assumed the worst. Her family insisted on closure. A coffin, closed and sealed, was buried beneath the gray sky of Westbourne Cemetery. But closure is a dangerous thing when the truth is still alive. 3 days later, at exactly 3:13 a.m., the graveyard keeper, Harold, was doing his usual rounds when something strange cut through the silence. A phone was ringing. It wasn't just echoing from somewhere nearby. It was coming from underground. From Evelyn's grave. Curiosity wrestled with fear. Harold wasn't a brave man, but the sound, the eerie familiarity of a modern ringtone cutting through ancient death, was unbearable. He stood over the freshly turned dirt, heart pounding, listening as the sound vibrated through the soil. The phone kept ringing. Over and over. Unable to take it anymore, Harold called his friend at the local police department. But here's where it gets strange. The police already knew. They had received a call from that number, Evelyn's number, 2 hours earlier. Except the call didn't come from the cemetery. It pinged from inside the old subway tunnels beneath the city, abandoned for decades. Meanwhile, Evelyn's last investigation before she vanished involved a shadowy group known only by initials, VIRGO. They were rumored to be behind a string of mysterious disappearances, all journalists, whistleblowers, or people who knew too much. Evelyn had told her editor that she was on the verge of exposing them. Then, nothing. Silence. Blood. Gone. Until now. Who was calling? And why now, after her funeral? Was it a trick? Or was it Evelyn herself? Detective Aria Monroe, the officer in charge of Evelyn's missing person case, arrived at the cemetery shortly after Harold's panicked call. She had seen strange cases before, but this was something different. By the time she got there, the ringing had stopped. But something was off about the ground. Fresh dirt. Slightly disturbed. As if someone, or something, had clawed at the inside of the coffin. If you stare into the abyss long enough, sometimes, it whispers back. And then came the message. Aria's phone vibrated in her pocket. Unknown number. No caller ID. Just one line of text. Help me. They buried me alive. Sent from Evelyn's phone. Impossible. Evelyn was dead. Declared so. Buried. Yet the phone, pinging off towers in impossible places, kept sending signals. Aria tried to trace the message, but the origin bounced from one abandoned part of the city to another. The old subway. The electrical grid beneath the courthouse. Even the catacombs rumored to run beneath the mayor's mansion. All places where VIRGO was rumored to operate. Was this a conspiracy to silence her forever? Or was Evelyn part of something even darker than she had uncovered? Sometimes the truth doesn't set you free. It buries you. But there's something nobody knew, not even the detective, not even Harold the groundskeeper. Someone was watching. A figure, motionless behind the dense trees near the cemetery, phone pressed to ear, listening. Smiling. They knew where the next call would come from. It wouldn't be the last time a phone rang from beneath the earth. Not by a long shot. What's buried doesn't always stay buried. Maya couldn't stop thinking about her brother's voice on the phone. I'm in the tunnels. Tunnels. She thought it was a metaphor, a coded phrase. Until she remembered the abandoned coal shafts beneath Briar Glen, sealed off since the late 80s after a series of mysterious collapses. Locals said the ground beneath the town was hollow, unstable, dangerous. But what if Elliot meant it literally? The dead leave echoes. But it's the living we should fear most. She returned to Elliot's journal, flipping through the brittle pages until she found a hand-drawn map, sketched in pencil and covered in cryptic notes. The map led to the entrance of Shaft 12B, just outside the Briar Glen Forest Preserve. It was marked Gate to hollow. Bring light. Don't go alone. But Maya had no one left to trust. At dawn, armed with a flashlight, rope, and a GoPro strapped to her chest, Maya descended into the shaft. The smell hit her first: earth, mildew, and something foul. A wet, metallic rot that made her gag. The walls were covered in soot and fungus. Her flashlight flickered, despite fresh batteries. She recorded everything. As the tunnel curved, she came upon a rusted metal door, sealed with a biometric scanner. Next to it, a broken keypad and a shattered surveillance camera, its wires hanging like veins. She leaned in to inspect when, clang, a noise behind her. Heavy, purposeful. Footsteps. She turned. Nothing. But her camera caught a shadow. A tall figure at the edge of her light. Vanishing the moment she looked. The keypad blinked once, then twice, then, to her shock, turned green. The door opened slowly with a metallic hiss. Beyond it, an underground facility. Part industrial, part lab. Wires snaked along the ceilings. Glass chambers lined the walls, some shattered, some filled. Maya's breath caught as she saw the word Obsidian Core etched onto a steel plaque. This wasn't a mine. It was a black site. And Elliot had been here. In the corner, a desk. On it, files, security tapes, and an old ID card. E. Miller. Clearance Level 3. She flipped through the files. Code names. Medical data. Psychological reports. One word appeared again and again. Project Marionette. Then, a photo slipped out. It was Elliot, strapped to a chair, eyes pried open with metal clamps. Electrodes on his scalp. His mouth sewn shut. Maya dropped it, trembling. Obedience isn't loyalty. It's programming. Suddenly, the facility's emergency lights flickered on. Somewhere, an old generator had roared to life. A mechanical voice echoed. Subject breach. Sublevel 3. Lockdown in 90 seconds. She grabbed the photo and ran deeper. In a side room labeled Observation Bay, she found another screen, active. A live feed. From a cell. Inside the cell. Elliot. Face gaunt. Eyes wide. He looked up, directly into the camera. And whispered. Maya. It's not me anymore. You need to leave. I'm not the only one down here. Static. Another voice came through. Rough. Male. Not Elliot. You shouldn't have come here, Maya. You weren't on the list. The screen cut to black. And a new alarm blared. Purge protocol initiated. Gas hissed from vents above. She fled the observation room, choking as smoke filled her lungs. Stumbling through half-collapsed corridors, she found a red-lit hatch with the word Exit burned into it. She pulled with all her strength. Outside, fresh air. Night sky. Crickets. She was near the Briar Glen Cemetery. As she stumbled into the light, gasping and coughing, she looked back toward the tree line and saw a figure watching her. Long coat. No face. Just a black helmet with a glowing red visor. He didn't chase her. He only raised his hand and pointed to the ground, right where they had buried Elliot. The next morning, Maya returned with a shovel. No cameras. No police. She dug through 6 feet of dirt and lies. Until her spade hit wood. She opened the casket. Inside, Julian Creek. Not Elliot. Just as the journal had said. But also, something else. In the corpse's hand was a cassette tape sealed in plastic, labeled, "Listen if I'm dead, M." She rushed home and played the tape. Elliot's voice crackled through. "I've seen what they're doing. I've seen what they turned me into. This is bigger than Briar Glen. Project Marionette isn't about obedience, it's about control. But I've left something behind. A weakness in their system. Find it before they find you." Click. Silence. Then one final whisper. "And Maya, if I don't make it, Kill whatever wears my face. Maya didn't sleep. She couldn't. Not after hearing Elliot's voice again, raw, broken, terrified. The cassette was now in a safe in her closet, but its contents were burned into her mind. Kill whatever wears my face. She replayed the tape over and over, picking apart every background noise, every flicker of static. On the third listen, she caught something. A tone. A high-pitched, rhythmic beep. She ran it through an audio program and matched the sound. Morse code. A single word. Halcyon. Truth never dies quietly. It scratches, claws, and bleeds its way out. She searched every database she could access. Military records. Local archives. Nothing. Until she got into a dark web medical research mirror site. Hidden behind layers of encryption, she found it. Halcyon Initiative, Phase 3 Trials. Funded by Obsidian Core. Clinical trials for neural compliance stimulation. Plain English. Mind control. The files were heavily redacted, but she found a list of subjects. Subject 014, Elliot Miller. Status, unstable. Reassigned. Facility Echo 9. Facility Echo 9. She checked the coordinates embedded in the file's metadata. It wasn't in Briar Glen. It was 2 towns over, deep in the mountains, beneath a decommissioned psychiatric hospital called Ashcroft Asylum. Maya made a plan. She'd break into Ashcroft and find Echo 9. But she needed help. So she turned to the one person Elliot once warned her about, Lena Dawes, a disgraced journalist who vanished 3 years ago after accusing the Briar Glen Sheriff's Department of illegal surveillance. Maya found her in a trailer 2 counties south, living off-grid. Hair white from stress. Eyes tired but sharp. Maya played the tape. Showed her the photo of Elliot strapped to the chair. Lena didn't flinch. You think this is the first time they've done this? You're standing in a graveyard of identities. Elliot just found the wrong door, and now it's wide open. She opened a footlocker and pulled out a black binder marked The Marionette Files. Inside were photos, transcripts, and handwritten notes. Project Marionette wasn't just mind control. It was identity reprogramming. Subjects were taken, mostly whistleblowers, dissidents, or civilians who knew too much, and erased. Memories wiped. Personalities fractured. New roles inserted. Some were turned into spies. Others, scapegoats. A few became killers. One file was circled in red, Subject 008, Mira Talone. Deemed a failed asset. Decommissioned. Her last recorded act? She burned down a school. Lena slammed the file shut. Back at home, Maya received a package. No return address. Inside, a single Polaroid photo. Grainy. Taken from behind chain-link fence. It showed a person strapped to a hospital bed. Elliot. His face was wrong. Pale. Eyes rolled back. But unmistakable. On the back of the photo, written in red marker. He's not who you think he is. She flipped it again. And noticed something. The photo had a reflection, a window behind Elliot showing another figure. Wearing a lab coat. Holding something sharp. The scariest monsters are the ones who think they're doctors. That night, Maya packed. She and Lena would go to Ashcroft at dawn. But at 3:17 a.m., her phone lit up with a text. Unknown number. Don't trust Lena. A second later. She's not who she says she is. And then a photo. From inside Maya's own house. A shot of her, asleep in her bed. Panicked, Maya ran to her living room. Lena was already up, staring at her laptop. Something wrong? She asked, too calmly. Maya stared at her. Then at Lena's laptop. But the video feed was live. From Ashcroft Asylum. Maya asked, where did you get that feed? Lena didn't answer. She just smiled and said, "Do you remember your brother's favorite color?" Maya blinked. "What?" "Think hard," Lena said, still smiling. "Are you sure he even had one?" Suddenly, Maya realized. She couldn't remember. Not clearly. Not Elliot's laugh. Not the way he walked. Not anything real. Just the videos. The voice. The story. Then everything went black. She woke up hours later, tied to a chair, in a white room, and across from her, sitting calmly, was Elliot, smiling, too wide, too still. "Hey sis, you finally made it. We've been waiting for you." Maya's wrists ached. The ropes bit into her skin, soaked in sweat and blood. The white room buzzed with humming fluorescent lights. No windows. No clocks. Only Elliot, or something wearing him. He sat across from her, dressed in a white jumpsuit. Still. Smiling. Too clean. Too calm. "You made it, Maya. I wasn't sure you'd get this far." His voice sounded right. But it felt wrong, like a recording played through human skin. She swallowed hard. "Where am I?" Elliot leaned in. Echo 9. Ashcroft's deepest floor. "You're inside the maze now." Sometimes survival means accepting that what you're looking at isn't the person you lost. It's what they left behind. Suddenly, the door behind him opened. Two figures entered, one in a lab coat, the other in full tactical gear, face obscured by a black helmet and glowing red visor. The same one who watched her at the cemetery. The lab-coated man spoke. "Subject 014 has maintained Phase 3 compliance. However, Sister poses contamination risk. Recommend extraction or conversion." Maya's voice cracked. "Elliot, listen to me. This isn't you. They did something to you. But I can get you out." Elliot stared blankly. Then he blinked once and whispered, "They're always watching. This isn't a rescue, it's a test." Suddenly, alarms blared. Emergency lights strobed red. Containment breach. Sublevel 4. Lockdown protocol initiated. The soldier cursed. The doctor panicked. Elliot just laughed. A terrible, hollow sound. In the chaos, a wall panel burst open. Lena crashed through, firing a stun grenade. The room lit up white. Screams. Static. She cut Maya loose. "Come on. No time. He's gone." They ran. But as they reached the hallway, Maya turned. Elliot was still in the chair, smiling. Tears ran down his face. His voice barely a whisper. "They're still inside me." They fled through collapsing corridors, deeper into the asylum, not out. Lena guided her through an old operating room and then into a hidden tunnel behind a morgue fridge. "Where are we going?" Maya demanded. Lena answered. "To the broadcast core. You want to burn the whole thing down? We end the signal." As they crawled through the maintenance shaft, Maya pressed her hand to her chest. Beneath her coat was the cassette. The one Elliot left in the grave. She'd almost forgotten. But now, her instinct screamed. She stopped. "Play the tape," she said. Lena hesitated. "We don't have time." "Play it. Now." Lena sighed, pulled out a recorder, and hit play. Elliot's voice returned, strained, static-warped. "If you're hearing this, I'm probably gone. Not dead, just overwritten. They built me into a weapon. But I broke protocol once. I slipped something into the core. A virus. A voice. Mine. There's a broadcast node. Central Echo 9. If you reach it, play this tape. Loud. It'll crash the loop." Lena's eyes widened. "I thought he was gone." Maya whispered. "He left himself behind." They reached the broadcast node, a circular chamber filled with humming servers, old televisions stacked like a shrine, each playing faces. Voices. Screaming. Obeying. Smiling. The broadcast. The loop. Maya stepped to the central console, slid the cassette into the drive. Then, a soft click, and Elliot's true voice boomed through the chamber. "This is my name. This is my mind. You can take my body, but not this. To everyone listening, wake up." The screens flickered, glitched. Dozens of faces stared, then screamed in unison. The floor cracked. Smoke poured from the walls. The loop was breaking. Every system has a flaw, even the perfect lie. But behind them, a door blew open. The soldier with the red visor stepped in, weapon raised. Maya turned to Lena. "Go!" Lena ran. Maya stood her ground. The soldier stepped forward, visor pulsing. Paused. Then slowly, reached up and removed the helmet. It was Elliot, but his eyes were vacant, controlled, almost synthetic. She whispered, "You don't have to do this." He raised the gun, and then he turned it on himself. A single shot. He collapsed, dead. Maya screamed, but the walls were coming down. She grabbed his cassette, his dog tags, and ran. She barely made it out. Ashcroft collapsed into itself, smoke rising into the dawn air like a burial pyre. The signal was gone. But so was Elliot, or at least, the part of him that could have been saved. Weeks passed. Maya published the files, leaked everything. The Miller conspiracy, Obsidian Core, Project Marionette. A journalist picked it up. Then a podcast. Then a court. But the faces behind the curtain? They vanished. Like smoke. Like whispers. Like ghosts. Maya kept the dog tags on her mirror. And every so often, the cassette would make a noise. Click. Like someone recording again. And sometimes, at night, her laptop would flicker. And a message would appear. "Still here. Still watching. Buried the wrong body. And I'm still digging."